how to make your film and your video look high budget, even though it was super low budget. Dope. What's poppin', everybody? My name is Danny Matthews. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, I'm going to be going over things that you can do as a video editor to make your low budget film or video look high budget with some editing techniques. I'm going to go over a couple of them, and the very last one that I'm going to go over is actually very important. It's super simple and some things that people actually overlook, and it's going to help you tremendously. Going into number one, when you get into your editing software and you look at this footage and you're like, this was super low budget, or this is a crappy commercial that the footage was sent to me, and me as a video editor, how am I supposed to make this look good? Well, when you jump into this, one of the biggest things that's going to transform this is going to be color grading. Color grading, correcting the light, making sure that the colors are all aligned, it's not super whack, making sure that everything just looks right. Whether that's a cinematic feel you're looking for, bright and airy, or some commercial, or whatever it looks like for that, you have a lot of power in your hands with the color grading to make it seem like it was high budget, even if it wasn't shot the best. Going to the next one, number two, if you add cinebars, and again, this is probably mostly for cinematic, but it makes it look super high budget. Just because a lot of people affiliate films and videos and commercials with cinebars, it's going to make it look a lot more high budget than it really is. And if you guys have no idea how to put cinebars on your video, go ahead and check out this video where I show you two different methods to go ahead and do that. Number three, the right music. Now, depending on what music choice you have, it can actually make or break your film and video, because the music really grabs the emotion and the feel that you want to have. You can create a higher budget feel with a certain type of music. For instance, if we use an orchestra, high value music, that's gonna feel a lot more high budget than some like funky kind of music that just is like kind of playful. Now, both are used in appropriate ways, but if you really want to sell this as a higher budget, you're gonna go with music that's gonna fit a lot more luxury suiting feels. Now again, that's not for everything. This is just for something if you're really trying to push this up to high budget. Going to this next one, it is whether or not to use slow-mo or what that looks like in your edit. Now, using slow-mo can be very beneficial. It can also make it look cheesy. So making sure that you use it in the appropriate ways, as well as showing it in the ways it's going to create the best emotion in the film, is actually going to up your production value because you're able to use those effects correctly. And slow motion not all the time is needed, but also slowing down the clip just a little bit is not just slow motion. In this video, I actually talk about where you want to sometimes use a slower motion, like down to 80% instead of like down to 20 or 40% on your footage. It's going to make it a little bit slower, but it's not necessarily slow-mo. This next one's very important as well. If it was shot incorrectly or just whatever this looks like, a lot of people actually overlook this, and me as an editor, I can see it every time, but for people who are just viewing it, they're just going to look at it and not understand why it doesn't always look right. The frame rate is very important in any kind of film. If it was shot in 60 or 120 frames per second and you export that timeline in 60 or 120 seconds, it is going to look ultra realistic and really weird, and it's not going to look correct. All you have to do is go into Adobe Premiere or whatever software you have, and when you export this, you're going to want to export this in 24 frames per second. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, why would I do that if I shot it in 60 or 120? What it does, it compensates for that and creates a 24 frame rate export. It's not preferable, but it's 10 times better than exporting in 60 or 120 frames per second. Obviously, it is ideal to shoot it in 24 if possible, but that's not always possible. And the last one, the most important thing to make your film or video high budget, very important, is sound effects. Now you're probably going, sound effects, why is that so important? Well, you may have heard this, but it takes up 50% of your film or video is going to be the thing that they hear. They want to experience this and live this experience and really be in that moment watching this film or video, watching this film, video, commercial, whatever it is, and you need to have that sound to really play in those missing pieces. Now, adding in sound effects, those intense car noises or those subtle movements or those footsteps and those little sound effects that are going to be getting people's attention and really making them understand the narrative in this film is what's really going to separate a low budget to a high budget film. A lot of this can be done in editing, like I said, if it wasn't already done when it was being shot. So this is things that you can do in post-production that you weren't able to do or you had no control over when you were shooting. So the next time you're on a project, make sure to keep these things in mind because it's really gonna up your value in your production. So guys, if you learned something from here, go ahead and check out one of these two videos, and I promise you're gonna learn something from one of those. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.